I've known Sophie since she was a little girl. In fact, I think I first met Sophie when she was about 11 or 12. So who could believe that a mother had let her out to come to a pub this afternoon, because she's only 15 now. But I've known Sophie, and she has been on an extraordinary journey, and she's going to share that journey with us now. Please welcome to the stage, Sophie Townsend.
My husband, Russell, was complaining about being tired for a long time, like really whinging about it. And so I did what any supportive wife would do. I went to coffee with friends and complained about it. And I love coffee with my friends. I live in Glebe. The Glebe ladies have fantastic coffees together where we basically complain about our husbands. Even the women without husbands complain about our husbands. And, I can say to them, he's whinging again, he's tired. What would he know about being tired? They'd say they never get up to the kids at night, they never know what projects are going on, they never do, and it made me feel pretty bad when it turned out that Russell actually had lung cancer. And when you say cancer to people, something really interesting happens to people's eyes. There's just this sudden, oh fuck, and people don't know what to say and they don't know what to do. But the Glebe ladies grabbed me and held me and told me it would be okay, and I looked in their eyes and they all had tears in them, and I knew that whatever happened they would be with me. And people don't know what to say and they don't know what to do, but they try and do something. And what we got was a lot of offers to babysit our children, because we've got two girls, and if I'd taken up every offer to have them babysat, I would never have seen them again. They'd be in childminding till they were 34. But it was just, I think it was just something tangible, something people felt they could do, and it wasn't even close family and friends who were offering it. Was random colleagues at work, and I had this thing where I could just imagine saying to my kids, yes, Daddy's got cancer, but on Wednesdays this short guy called Dave is going to come and pick you up from school. I don't know his last name, but I think he works in the IT department, so he'll have good computer games. It'll be fine. And Russell hated it. He hated the offers to take the kids, because for him, he was looking death squarely in the face, and it looked like people were just trying to take his kids away from him. But I took it as some sort of symbol of love. People were trying to help, and they do offer extraordinary things. We got baked goods, we got tickets to movies, we got a weekend away. One guy offered to clean our windows, and I think what he was saying was, this is just, I'm so helpless and hopeless in this existential crisis, this life and death struggle. And he was rather perplexed when we said, yes, we'd love our windows washed. And even though I wasn't offended by the offers of childminding like Russell, and in fact found them sort of tempting, I didn't quite know what to do with the offers of help, because I did think that as a good wife and an adult, I should be able to do this. I should be able to help my husband through cancer, get him to the chemo ward on time and watch him take those toxic drugs. I could do that. Take him to the emergency ward on the weekend when his temperature spiked. I could do that. I could also get my children to school. I could get their projects done. I could get their lunch made. I could do that by myself. Slowly go mad, I could do that too. So I developed this strategy of saying no to offers of help. But I've also got this politeness gene, and I'd sort of get into this muddle where I'd say no to useful things and then say yes to things that I didn't really need, because I didn't want to appear rude. So I'd be in that chemo ward watching Russell, and I'd suddenly get 8 texts saying, who is picking up the children today? Because I'd said yes to, 8 random strangers who'd offered. Or I'd get phone calls from coffee shops saying, I thought we were having coffee today, because I'd said yes to 5 different people. One night we got 3 dinners delivered to our house. We got chicken schnitzel, we got roast chicken, and we got a chicken casserole within an hour of each other. And I don't know if you've ever lived with a chemo patient, but it's a bit like living with a pregnant woman, except there's no joy in it. They have sudden cravings, but also sudden aversions, where the smell and taste of things just makes them sick. Like chicken, for example. He got sicker, and he had more intensive chemo. They put him on this experimental drug where he developed this terrible acne rash all over his body. He got more tired, he got thinner, and I was watching him disappear before my very eyes, and I was drowning. And those friends of mine stuck by me, and I got cups of tea, and there were walks, and there were, just so much kindness. But I still didn't quite know what to do with it all. And then one woman, who was not a great friend, an acquaintance, rang and asked me for a cup of coffee. And she asked how she could help. And I just looked at her blankly, because I had no idea really. But it turned out that the year before, her husband had been diagnosed with cancer, and he's now in remission. So, but she had this hellish year, and I knew it. Our kids were in the same class, but I felt bad because I hadn't offered her any help in this horror year, and I knew all about it, but I had been afraid of saying the wrong thing or offering the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing, and I was really scared of cancer, and I was also scared of that same thing of admitting that she was in need, and that somehow I could help her, because I didn't want her to feel like I felt that she couldn't handle it. Thankfully, she had no such qualms, and she knew I couldn't handle it, and she knew exactly how this thing worked, and she developed a spreadsheet, and it was fantastic, because suddenly all these offers of kindnesses and help were put in an Excel document. And I knew where my children were at all times. I knew they were safe. I knew who was doing the shopping. I knew who was bringing us dinner. It was 1 dinner per night. It was fantastic. And she'd even, on the spreadsheet, on my copy of the spreadsheet, I had room for feedback. So I could say, we didn't like the chicken risotto. It was light and easy, but, edible and with love. And I think that structure gave me the ability, A, to breathe, but B, to take on those offers and take on that kindness, and made me realise that I was in need, and this is what people did, and it was okay. And just before last summer, the doctors told us that they couldn't do any more for Russell and that we were looking at maybe 6 weeks, maybe 3 months. And then we had Christmas, and my girls have never been given so many presents in their life, because what you try and do is you try to distract them from their father dying with gifts, which I can tell you doesn't work, even when they're iPods. And 2 days later, it was Russell's birthday. And the 27th of December is a sucky time to have a birthday because no one gives a shit, really. They've done their celebrating. And he was never into birthdays either. You know, he was not a man who liked a great deal of fuss. But at the last minute, we decided to have a party. And there were a few people, friends from around the neighbourhood who were still in Sydney, and we gathered them up. And some family came, mum and dad, and people brought food, and no chicken, and we made speeches, and there was love and there was warmth in the room, and it was a fantastic night. And even Russell enjoyed it, and he wasn't a man who really enjoyed parties. And at the end of the evening, most people had left, but there were still a few neighbourhood friends around. And I sat on the couch with Russell and I cried. And I said, I can't do this. I can't cope without you, and you can't die. And he said, but look around you. With them, you can do it. And I looked. And there was all these people just quietly cleaning up and stacking the dishwasher and just getting things organised. And I don't think Russell literally meant that you'll be all right with people cleaning up after you. And if he did, he'd be terribly disappointed because they have not come back and helped him. Although they are welcome. You know, I think he was saying with these people, with these friends, you will be held and you will be all right. And about a month after that, Russell died. And he died at home, which was where he wanted to die. And those same people came round and they held his hand and they said goodbye. And one of the really fantastic things they did, they all brought their kids. You know, no one worried about kids being there, and those kids were there to help my kids and hug my kids, and it was just a really fantastic send-off. And a really great friend of mine helped get Russell's body ready to go, and friends of his took him out to the funeral hearse. So it was a good way to die. And then we had a memorial service, and that was attended by a lot more people than I thought would come. And those same group were there holding us up and holding me. I have never felt in more need than that afternoon, that morning. And they held us, and they just kept us safe. And they, you know, I was in so much need, and they were there. And I just think, you know, people say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it also takes a village to help a man die, and it takes that same village to help his wife and his children stay above water. Thank you.
Sophie Townsend. And a lot of the people that Sophie mentioned are here today, so a special thank you to the Glebe mothers and to the Townsend parents who are also here. Thank you, Sophie.